Hi Ryan. Hi Sean. This is particularly for you, Sean. Hi Emma. And I'm not sure anybody else is going to be interested, but I'll say hi to Livy and Luca and Owen. So what I did today is I went on my bicycle and I went to the store and I was riding on a path. There's a path that's actually a fairly new path. And on the side so we live in a desert, and when a desert doesn't get a lot of rain. And so I never expect to see mushrooms in a desert because we don't get a lot of rain, although people do water their plants. But this is an area where they're really not watering, although they do water individual plants a little bit. Anyway, but I found mushrooms, and mushrooms usually grow where it's wet. And um, and they often grow in the spring, which is what it is. Anyway, so I found a whole bunch of these guys, and I am 99.9% sure they're called, I call them shaggy mane or ink cap. Now these are still young, so they're sort of stuck. They haven't opened up yet. What they'll do when they open up is get shaggier, and you can see there. Can you see how it's not a smooth cap? This is called the cap, and this is called the stem, although it might have another special name. And that's where it was coming out of the ground. And here's the second one, right? And they sometimes grow in twos and threes. There were a lot, and so I'll show you how many I picked. But anyway, I'm going to eat them tonight, I think, and I will cook them in some butter with some onion, and we'll see. They always suggest that you just have a little bit and make sure you don't get sick. um, since these look a little bit different, but I know they grow in New Jersey, and usually they get, and they grow in the spring and the fall, although more in the fall, I think. And they usually get black. That's their ink cap, so they look like they've got ink. As they get older, they get black, and the older they get, the blacker they get. And there was a second kind, which I'm pretty sure is just a common field mushroom related to the ones you can buy in the grocery store. You see how the brown, so these are the gills. These are called gills, these things that come out. And inside are spores, and that's how they spread. They don't have seeds. They have little tiny they might look like a seed, tiny seed, and it's called a spore, and that spore spreads. And again, you can see where it was attached to the ground. Now this one, and then see this raggedy edge here. You can see it kind of sticking out there, and you can see it more on this one. That's where the cap used to be attached. So if this one opened, it would get that too. All right, and so and like I said, if this opened, it would get black underneath. This is brown underneath. And so this is a common field mushroom related to the button mushroom that you get in the grocery store. It has a really, really nice smell. I like the smell. It reminds me of New Jersey. But so I wanted to show you how many I found. So these were all just basically together, growing near each other. Let me back up. It's just a plastic bag. Okay, so these field mushrooms are growing just in one big clump under a tree. I didn't even see them at first because there was a lot of dirt on top of them. They hadn't really come through. Do you see there's a whole bunch of them? There's some back here, and they get big. There were some older ones that were really big, but these are sort of small. So there you can see the gills again. And then over here are the shaggy manes. And there's one that's mostly just the cap without the stem. But here's a whole bunch. So there's three that were sort of together. And so I will have a lot to cook up tonight. And you could put these in a stew. You could make soup out of them, although it's a little warm here for soup. But you can make gravy. You can just make a nice side dish. They're good with chicken. They're good with meat. And they're good on things like rice or pasta even. So I thought you'd want to learn. And you know, your daddy, Sean's daddy, Uncle Jeff, if he's not your daddy, has found. I know you and Sean and his dad have found some mushrooms in the woods. And when I was visiting once, we found something called a stinkhorn, I think. Stinkcap, stinkhorn. I think it's stinkhorn, and it really smells bad. It smells like so an animal died. Anyway, and we it was right in your backyard, right, Sean? And it looks kind of slimy. And there are some poison mushrooms, so don't pick mushrooms and eat them. Make sure you ask your mom or dad to help you figure out if it's edible or not. And there are a lot that are edible, and it's not really that hard, although it's nice to have somebody who's picked them before. And your dad has picked with me and by himself morels, which are funny looking mushrooms, and you can buy them in the grocery store right over here, and they cost $60 a pound. So if you pick them outside, they're free, but if you go to the store, they're expensive. And anyway, those are some of the fun mushrooms. So I thought I'd share that with you today. Okay, and that's it. I'll say bye. It was fun to talk. I hope you liked hearing and seeing the mushrooms. Okay. Bye, Sean. Bye, Ryan. Bye, Emma. Bye, Libby, Luca, and Owen.